Hello sports fans, and welcome to the first installment of the Pioneer Sports Scouting Report, where we take a look at all of the big stories in high school, college, and national sporting events going on this week. This week we're going to take a look at Big Rapids High School basketball as well as Ferris State hockey, so stay tuned. Alright, we welcome Bob Allen, Pioneer Sports Prep Editor, with us, who's going to provide some analysis on the Big Rapids High School basketball team that we're talking about. First, the boys off to an 8-0 start this year. Bob, can you first start off talking a little bit about how Big Rapids has been so successful, been able to get off to that 8-0 start against some pretty good competition thus far?
Everything starts with the press. They like to jump press, or they call it a jump press. They, kind of force a guard down the sidelines, and then the other guard will come over, try to trap right across half court, and then they start overplaying passes. They're able to intercept passes, get in those lanes, get easy layups, and it's been really successful this year by doing that. And that's the whole key to their success so far, is if they press teams into submission, they've been able to, get wins.
Now, everybody knows about Quinn Tyson and his ability to score for the Cardinals. Can you talk about some of those other players who have had an impact for Big Rapids so far this season?
The one player I've been really kind of impressed with this year has been Tyler Pellerito. He doesn't get a lot of notoriety. He's about 6'4", 6'5", something like that, taller than I am. But he does all the dirty work, kind of, gets garbage points, and I use that term loosely, gets the second chance points. He's not a guy that they run the offense, but he gets the garbage points, he gets a lot of rebounds, defends really well, and I think he's kind of that key guy in there. You know about Dario Williams, you know about Nick Baldwin, Jake, Quinn. They can all score. But he's kind of that guy that kind of does everything, keeps that team moving in the right direction.
So this weekend, or obviously on Thursday, a big challenge for the Cardinals coming up in CSAA play against Newaygo. What is the challenge that Newaygo presents for the Cardinals, and do you see Big Rapids maintaining that perfect record?
The big reason that Newaygo has a chance is their guards. They can handle the pressure. They know they're very smart with the ball. They move the ball. They rotate it, and that's going to pose a problem for Big Rapids, because usually it's a pass, maybe two, and then they're getting a turnover. Not many teams can make the third or the fourth pass that gets a layup, get a nice open jump shot. Newaygo presents that problem for them. I don't think they got enough firepower to beat Big Rapids, but they have enough to make this game very entertaining and pretty close, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody will be watching carefully, as there's probably two of the top teams in the CSAA going at it there on Thursday. Moving on now, we're going to take a look at some college hockey. The Ferris State hockey team, fresh off a weekend split at home against Ohio State. They've been a 500 split. That's kind of what we've come to expect from Ferris so far in CCHA play so far. They have a home-and-home this weekend on Friday and Saturday as they head to East Lansing to take on the Spartans of Michigan State on Friday before returning back here to Avoglaven on Saturday night. Looking at Ferris State, Bob, coming out after another split this weekend, they've showed some signs of being able to play defense at a high level, and they've shown some of the ability to score goals at times. Where do you see this team after the Ohio State weekend heading forward?
They have to get more consistent. I think Coach Daniels would say the same thing. They played well defensively one night, and then the next night, not that they don't play well, but then their offense steps up. And they got to get both of them playing at a very high level for 60 minutes for 2 games. And once that happens, I think you're going to see some wins pile up here. But in the meantime, it's kind of a split. Win one, lose one, win one.
Looking at a Michigan State team this weekend who has struggled to put up some goals on the board offensively, what does Ferris have to do to earn 2 wins in a series like this one this weekend?
Well, I think the first big key is keeping that defensive posture, stay within the systems that Coach Daniels always talks about. And, the Michigan State, as you pointed out, is struggling to score goals. The longer they have trouble scoring, the more it gets into your head, and then it just becomes almost psychological. So if they can keep them off the board, longer, that's going to play into their part. And then just score some goals, because if you can get a goal or 2 early, when you can't score goals and you got to score, oh my gosh, we got to score 2 goals to even get a tie or even 3 to win. For a team that's not scoring, that's just huge. So you got to kind of combine the two.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the keys for Ferris this weekend is going to be how they perform against Jake Hildebrand, kind of the breakout star goaltender for Michigan State. Really been the only bright spot for the Spartans this year in net. I think if Ferris State can get to him early on, like they were able to a couple weeks ago in a 3-1 shutout, that's probably their best chance to get some first period action on him. So I would expect Ferris State will come out aggressively offensively against Michigan State in hopes of grabbing an early lead. All right, for this week's Athlete Spotlight, we took a look at Big Rapids point guard Elizabeth Nonhoff, who is the Cardinals off to an undefeated start in the CSAA this season. Bob, you talked to Elizabeth, and you've seen the Cardinals play a couple times this year. Can you talk about how they've been able to have so much success early on in the season?
One of the reasons they've had success is they've been able to, kind of spread the wealth. You can't really defend one player. Kendra Enzer, I think, got a lot of the preseason publicity. 4th year on the varsity, and she's a very nice player. But Elizabeth Nonhoff really kind of stepped up that game. She's hit clutch shots down the stretch. Morley Stanwood game last week, an example. I mean, Big Rapids just could not score, and all of a sudden she comes down, hits a couple of threes, hits a bucket, and all of a sudden, they were down 2, 3, 4 points, and all of a sudden it's a tie game. At halftime, or actually they were down 2, but I mean, she brought them closer, and she's just one of those players that kind of quietly goes about business, but if you don't pay attention, she's going to hurt you.
All right, for some video footage of Elizabeth Nonhoff talking about the present season, check out this video clip.
So let's just talk about the win and how big it is for you girls.
I think the win is really, really big for us because we haven't won against them in like about 5 years. It's just like Reed City, how they wanted to play against us and beat us because they haven't won in a long time. And I think it's a great win that we had, and I'm glad I had it my senior year.
Talk about just the beginning. You guys couldn't buy a bucket to save you guys' lives.
It was rough. Like, I felt like no one played with heart, and then in the end, like, we came back and everyone played with heart, and it was just such a great time for me.
You got hot there in the second quarter. You guys were down 2-3, and you kind of brought them back. Did you feel like you had the hot hand all night, or is it just you hit a hot streak there? Or?
I think I get it sporadically. I don't know. I just have to keep shooting and keep my head up and not worry if it goes in or not, and just play my game.
Just talk about a little bit about where this team's got to go. I mean, you're coming up on the halfway point. Where do you got to get better at, and where to get to where you guys want to be?
I think we have to get better at like going hard in the beginning and then keep going hard and keep pushing through and not giving up like sometimes we do, or keep our head down. Like, we got to keep it up and lot.
What do you like about this team right now?
I like it a lot. I love my team, and we're just such a great team, and we have no drama really, and it's just everyone's nice to everyone, and I think we are great athletes, and everyone has good at something.
All right, on to the NHL now, and yes, I did say NHL. There will be an NHL season, and there's nobody who's happier about that at the Pioneer than our esteemed NHL guru, Brandon Fountain. Brandon, welcome to the show. First, let's talk about this NHL season, 48 games in less than 100 days. Is this a good thing to get this shortened season in, and do you see some potential fallbacks to having a shortened season?
I think the fact that they have a deal in place and it's a long-term deal is a benefit for the sport overall. However, having a shortened season like this is just going to produce a lot of injuries. You got games going, like you said, 48 in less than 100 days. Guys are going to get injured. There's going to be hamstring injuries. Goalies are going to get injured. Overall, the play is going to be a little subpar for the first couple of weeks, but once they get going, it'll be fine. Other than that, at least hockey's back.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
So I was just going to ask you that. I mean, hockey back, good thing or bad thing, even if it is only a shortened season?
It's a great thing. The dedicated fans, the fans who have stuck around through 2 other lockouts in the last 20 years have stayed with hockey, and they will continue to stay with hockey.
Okay. Well, talking about the Red Wings, obviously, with the return of the NHL, What did we expect from a Detroit team this year? There's no Nicholas Lidstrom, all of these things that we kind of forgot about. It seemed like so long ago that they happened. How good is this Red Wings team going to be? It doesn't seem like it's as stable as it's been with the Red Wings as it has been in the past.
There's vast differences this year, especially with Lidstrom gone and then with Brad Stewart leaving on defense. The defense is going to be the big thing. Jimmy Howard's going to have to step up. He was good with Lidstrom there. He's got to be great now. He's got to be your number one, and he's got to prove it. In a shortened season, it's going to be tough for the Red Wings. I mean, they're bringing in a lot of new guys, younger guys like Damian Brunner and Jordan Tutu. See how they can fit into the mix, but Detroit still has a lot on the salary caps, so expect them to make a deal at the trade deadline.
Okay. Is this a Detroit team that you expect to keep that playoff streak alive this year?
That's tough to say, especially with the shortened season. I would say the stigma alone of the Red Wings will get them another playoff.
Okay, all right, you heard it here. Red Wings return to the playoffs. Now we're moving on to the NFL, where the conference championship games will take place this weekend. Coming off some great divisional games this past weekend, we take a look at the AFC championship game first. Brandon, we have New England Patriots versus the Baltimore Ravens, Ray Lewis versus Tom Brady. The publicity of it sells itself. Who do you got winning this matchup and why?
I think to start off, this will probably be the best game of the playoffs this year. New England and Baltimore, you can't ask for much more. You got total defense in Baltimore, and you have total offense in the Patriots. I do see the Patriots coming out, finding another unsung hero like they did last week, or finding a regular hero. I mean, having to fall back on Tom Brady's not a bad option either.
The question is, who do you got? You got Joe Flacco, who's obviously a hero now after last week, or Tom Brady, who's been in 5 Super Bowls. You gotta like Brady in that scenario, but also I think Baltimore has the wild card with the whole Ray Lewis situation. Do you think that they feed off of the emotion of that at all?
Oh, absolutely. Ray Lewis, I believe, has the biggest, most powerful heart in the whole NFL, and he plays with it. I mean, he holds it out there in his hands every play, every game. If the Detroit Lions had a tenth of that, we wouldn't be talking about San Francisco and Atlanta, maybe.
Okay. Well, we are going to talk about San Francisco and Atlanta because the Lions, just short of an NFC title game this year with a 4-12 record. So we get the 49ers and the Atlanta Falcons this weekend. Falcons making their first trip to making that first step with Matt Ryan as quarterback into the NFC Championship game. San Francisco, I thought, was the Super Bowl favorite at the beginning of the year. Colin Kaepernick looked like a beast last weekend. Who do you got coming out on top in this one?
I believe that San Francisco is going to actually come out on top. However, I would hate to see what would happen if San Francisco loses and the hissy fit that Jim Harbaugh could throw. But, I mean, Atlanta's been good, and they've been quietly good. They haven't been impressively good. I think when it comes to San Francisco and Atlanta, you have to look at how the teams played. Atlanta was good all year, but they weren't impressive. San Francisco was impressive, their offense and their defense. They beat Green Bay handedly last week, and I think it's going to be a good game, but it's not going to be a great game, and San Francisco is going to run away, and I feel bad for Tony Gonzalez.
Okay. Well, I feel like San Francisco is also the favorite in this game. It all comes down to defense. That's the best tackling team in the NFL. I think if watching a San Francisco 49ers team, that's as good as tackling as you're going to see in football today. It's a thing of beauty to watch. They've got the pieces on offense at the skill positions to move on. The question is Kaepernick, whether he can maintain that composure in an NFC Championship game. I think he does. I don't think that Atlanta has that same level, high-level players that you see at San Francisco, and I do see them moving on.
There's always Joe Flacco, too.
There's always Joe Flacco. A Joe Flacco, Colin Kaepernick Super Bowl. Oh man, people would be salivating. I'm salivating just thinking about it right now. So, that's it for the NFC and AFC title games. We'll take a look at the Super Bowl next week on the Pioneer Scouting Report. And for Brandon Fountain, I'm Marty Slaughter. Make sure to join us next week.